Do you click on that? So actually then Max hits the chair. Okay, fantastic. Great. Welcome to another edition of WordPress Tom Dwells. Thanks ever so much for coming. I'm just going to instill one rule that absolutely must not be broken, and that is we have to finish at 9 o'clock. I'm a bit tired. I really need to get off at 9 o'clock. So it's very, very great to have you here, but 9 o'clock is basically we set a light and we'll all have to leave. So that's the So I think what we do is we've got Matt joining us, who's going to talk about elegant themes and secrets of web design, professional web design. And so I'll hand over to him in a second. Just really quick, so this is WordPress Tom Dwells. It's sponsored by Mirror Media, my company, MSO Net, which is Andrew's company. The House is Building, which is then sponsored by Tom Dwells Borough Council. There's beers in that fridge down there, there's tea and coffee. I think there's a couple of soft drinks around the place. And I'll be going to get some pizzas. I'll get one vegan pizza, some vegetarian pizzas, and some pepperoni pizzas. Are you all happy with that? All right, brilliant. I was going to hope Matt was going to see this.
It was there a second ago.
So, should we just do a little bit of a poll? So, how many people have used Divi? Divi? And then has everyone bought things from Eleg?
I bought Divi, but I've never used it.
Okay. So you've got a general knowledge of Divi, what's going on. Charles the expert, so who is? So elegant things, we all purchase things from elegant things, or we've all purchased things, installed them, and okay, cool. So Mac, hello mate, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, I've just done the intro. I've just done a good of a show of hands, and we've got a good splattering of people that have used Divi or at least know what it is, and a good splattering of people that have purchased themes, be it some of elegant themes and some just purchased themes and things like that. So what I'll do is I'll let you do the intro to yourself, if that's okay, and then just fire away.
All right, fantastic.
Thank you very much. Everybody.
All right, thank you guys for having me. It's really awesome. I'm really excited to present to you today. So my name is Augustine Makachemu, but people just call me Mac because it's just easier, to pronounce. And this name came from my art teacher, back when I was in high school. So I've just stuck to Mac, so M-A-K, just the first 3 letters of my surname. All right, so I'm part of the Elegant Themes, the makers of Divi. So I'm part of the content team. I'm the guy behind the tutorials that you see when you go on our YouTube channel. Just a show of hands, how many of you have seen my tutorials on our YouTube channel for Elegant Themes? Okay, awesome. Right, so yeah, so I'm behind the content creation. I make a lot of tutorials on how to use Divi. So I've been working with them for about 3 years now. It's a really exciting job, working remotely. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you a brief history of how I got into web design, how I implemented or how I started my freelance design business, and then talk to you about how Divi saved my business and how you can actually use it yourselves in your projects. So ever since I got my first computer, this is going back to about 2000, 2001, I had a decent computer. I had a fascination with websites and how they were created. So I started learning how to design websites using CSS and HTML. So all this was hand coding. It was a pain. It was quite difficult, but I was really excited about how pages, came together. But back then, it wasn't really easy to use because you couldn't get the websites to look exactly how you wanted them to. So I came across a piece of software called Dreamweaver. I'm sure some of you remember it. Do you remember Dreamweaver? Yes. Yep. Awesome. Okay. So Dreamweaver was more like what you see is what you get. So you design your page, you'd arrange things in tables, and that's pretty much how your page would look. So this was a move away from how the hand coding of HTML and CSS was. So after using Dreamweaver, I was like, wow, this could actually turn into a business. So this is where now I set my goal to become the best web designer in the West Midlands, because I'm based here in Birmingham. So that was my goal. I set my eyes on that, and I really wanted to be the best web designer in the West Midlands. So I started designing websites for people around me, friends, family, and all that. And then I decided to turn that passion of web design into an actual business. So I set my little company called Creative Astro. I got a little office here in the Custard Factory in Birmingham, which is a creative center. So I started designing websites. So I felt like the speed of designing these websites was quite difficult to get clients, because my main focus was to get as many clients as possible and become well known and design a lot of websites. So what I did was, at the time, I thought it was a fantastic idea. I saw an ad for Groupon, so I decided to contact Groupon. So I told them my pitch. I told them I wanted to design a lot of websites, and how can we create a deal together. So anyway, cut the story short, we managed to put a deal together. So I put a package for a website that cost £1,000. We discounted it to 80% discount. So it was down to £200. So from that 200, now I would have to share 50-50 with Groupon. So pretty much I was getting £100 per website. And at first I was like, wow, this is a great opportunity. If I can get 200 websites, that's going to be fantastic. But you know what? It wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be. So what happened is, after the deal went live, I started getting so many orders coming through. I mean, I remember going to my wife saying, you know what, we're going to make quite a lot of money, because once we get all these websites designed, we're going to charge people for the maintaining their websites, right? So that's where I thought we were going to make the money. So all the orders started coming in, very, very excited. But that excitement was short-lived, because we realized that I could not design all these websites fast enough, because using Dreamweaver, you had to design each website from scratch every single time. So it became very, very difficult. So I came across a theme. I mean, in fact, I first came across WordPress, and I was like, wow, this is very, very good, because I can design everything all in the cloud. I don't need to worry about FTPs and sending all these things through these programs. So I started using WordPress, and then there was one popular theme called Headway. I don't know if if any one of you have heard of Headway, the theme. Have you heard of it? Have you seen Headway? No. Okay. So Headway was actually quite good, because you could go in and pretty much customize your website, similar to how Dreamweaver was, but for WordPress. So I started using that, but still things were not looking very good. I worked, crazy hours. I was sleeping in the office, on the floor, waking up and, designing these websites, because what had happened is, once you created that contract that you're going to design those websites, you had to live to that contract. So there was no way out of it, right? So I started designing these websites, and, it became very, very, very difficult. I couldn't design these websites fast enough. So after about a month, that's when I came across Divi. At that time, it wasn't very popular. It was Divi 2.4. And then I was like, wow, this is much easier. And the one thing that really caught my eye with Divi was the fact that I could actually design a page, save it as a template, and then export it. So when I'm designing a new website, I could just import that template, change the colors, and then start designing it. The second feature that Divi had, which no one had at the time, was he also had a template library. So this is where you could design, let's say, part of a website and save it as a template, and then reuse those parts of the website that you've just designed. So I didn't have to design everything from scratch. So that made the job much, 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 much easier. So from that moment on, I designed all these websites. I was able to, to complete these, but that's because of those main features that I mentioned. So the next thing I want to talk to you about now is because through this process of designing all these websites, I learned quite a lot in terms of design, what makes websites look professional, and this is what I'm going to be talking to you about today. So what makes a website professional is a few pillars. One of them is color management. You want to be able to choose your colors, your branding colors for whatever clients you're working with. If it's your own website, that process of choosing colors needs to be very, very easy because it needs to follow what is known as color harmonies. Okay, it needs to, whether you're using like triad colors, whether you're using complementary colors, these colors need to work well together. And what is unique with Divi is you are able to generate colors that work well together using an algorithm, which is fantastic. So you can't go wrong with the colors. So you can have the best design out there, but if your colors don't have harmony, pretty much you're in trouble because it's not going to look professional. Okay, so Divi has that inbuilt, which is fantastic. The second thing that will make your website look professional is the use of fonts. So Divi also has font management. You're also able to use different font weights, and it's very easy to use font colors. And the third thing is styling. So let's say you add an image onto your website. If you want to make it black and white, if you want to make it, a different color, or you want to add a color cast to it, all these, it just adds a bit of professionalism to your web design process. So Divi has all these things inbuilt. It's kind of like using Photoshop inside Divi. So these are the features that Divi have been working very hard on to really make this design process seamless and very, very easy to use. Now, I know this is all pretty much me presenting to you. I am going to actually do a demo where I'll be creating some pages for you and just show you how easy it is to go in and design these pages using Divi. Now, what I'm talking about here, it can also be done using other page builders. But what makes Divi different is we have certain things that really make us much better than our competition. I know I'm a little bit biased, but the UI of Divi is really, really good. I mean, for those of you that have used it, it's very easy to use. Once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to design websites and web pages really, really fast. It makes it much, much easier, and it's actually fun to design design websites using Divi. The second thing is support. Divi has great support inside your website. Inside your actual website that you're designing, there's a button where you can click, and this will connect you directly to our support team, and you can actually do some screen sharing, and they can actually, come into your website and diagnose the problem and fix it for you. Right now, I can say we are the only page builder that can do that. I mean, the support is fantastic. And this is something that you may need if you're designing a website and maybe you might be stuck on something, because one of the worst things that you can, or one of the most frustrating things is to start designing your website, something stops working, or you're trying to work out something and there's no help. That can be very, very frustrating. And if the company has, let's say, a support team and they don't actually show you or come to you in time, I mean, that is, can be very, very frustrating. So we have great support and also a great community, on Facebook. We have a fantastic community on our YouTube channel. Again, there's a ton of tutorials on there. So there's a lot of support, and this is definitely what you need in terms of inspiration and just basically how to use the product itself. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do a demo and just show you pretty much how Divi works, create some pages for you. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me, some questions, and I'll, pretty much do my best to answer them. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so let me just work out how to share my screen. And okay, here we go. Share my screen now. Right,
Yeah.
so please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is to just go to my admin dashboard. Okay, so this is my admin dashboard. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. Right, so let's say you want to design a brand new page. So I'm going to come over here. Let's call this add a new page. So let's just call this test demo. Right, so I'm going to click on use Divi Builder. So there's several ways you can design. You can start designing your page. Have you guys used pre-made layouts at all in your designs?
Yeah.
You have? Okay, fantastic. So let me just show you quickly how you can put a page together fast using our pre-made layouts. So I'm just going to come over here to choose pre-made layouts, and there's a ton of these in our library. As you can see here, there's different types that we can start working with. So let's say I choose this farmer's market here as my foundation to design my page. So I can also choose here different pages. There's the landing page here, the contact page, the blog, the about. So let's work on the about page. I'm going to click on use this layout. Now, one of the questions that I normally get from quite a lot of people is if this is a farmer's market pre-made layout, that means, I may not even use it in my own project because I have a totally different type of project. Mine is not farming. So this is where now you can go in and change all these images to suit whatever project it is that you're working on. So to do that, you just look for this gear icon here. And this is where you can change the text. So you can see here, about us can be changed to, let's say, about our company. So you can see here, I've just edited this text here. Another quick way of editing this text is just to put your mouse over this area here. And this is where I was talking about the UI, that the UI for Divi is fantastic because you're able to see what you're working on really, really fast. So here, if you put your mouse over this area here, you see this paintbrush here. I'm not sure if my screen is high res that you can see where I'm clicking, but over here, there's a little brush. If you click on this brush here, it takes you exactly where the settings are. So now I can see my font here is later. I can change that quickly to a different font altogether. Let's say Arial. Or if you want to use some Google fonts, you can always come over here and you can start choosing your fonts here, like your Google fonts. You can also search if you know for it. So I like using a font called Poppins. I'm going to go ahead and select it, and there we go. Now, here are the colors. So let's say I want to change the colors of my font, and this is where I was talking about the color management and the algorithm that we have. So let's say I've chosen this color right here, right? If I click these three little dots here, notice what happens. I get now a palette of colors that work well together with this color that I've just chosen. Okay, so let's say I go with this one here. This actually works very well with the image that I have. So let's say I'm done with that. I can just go ahead and save. Now, let's say I want to change the this image right here on this header area. All I have to do is to click on this gear icon for my section settings, click on background. In fact, no, that's not where the image is. Right, let me find where that image is. Modified styles. So here, when you click on modified styles, it tells you which styles have been updated. Like for example, here we have a slide animation. So this is where you can go in and customize the slide animation, but I'm not going to do that yet. Okay, so let me find where this image is. All right, so I'm going to come over here to background. So you see this image that we have here now, it's on the background here. So I can just click here and change that image into any other image. So let's say I'm going to have this surfing guy right here. Click upload an image. And right away, you can see here, I've just changed my image to something else. So this could be a surfing website. So just by changing my image here, I can just change the theme of my website. Over here, we have this image here of these vegetables. Now that this website is about surfing, I can just quickly go in here, click on this gear icon, So every time you want to make any changes to anything on your website, you click on this gear icon. This takes you into the settings of that particular module. So over here now, I can just click anywhere in here, click on that image. Now let me look for a similar surfing image. So this time I'm going to go with, let's go with this one here. Click on upload an image and boom, our image is in. So, you know, when I mentioned that to create professional looking websites, you need to be able to go in and make some styles or some animations, change some styling onto your images. This is where now you can come to design, and we have all these styles. So let's say, for example, we come here to filter. Let's say you want to make this image here black and white, right? All you have to do is to come over here, drag this all the way down, and that's it. You got black and white, just like that. So this is the power of using Divi. So let's say I want to reset that, and I want to change this image here and add a sepia tone. Boom, just like that. I've just added sepia tone to that, right? Now let's say you want to add some rounded corners onto this image. Well, that's easy. All you have to do is to come over here to border. And then let's say you want to add 5 pixels to the rounded corners. And let's say that's not enough. Now, the UI that I was talking about, check this out. Here, if you put your mouse just below where it says 5 pixels, you have a dial that shows up. So if I drag this over to the right, notice what happens. My rounded corners are a bit more now. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes. So just by playing around with this dial, you are actually changing these rounded corners just like that. And you can see all the sides are changing. So let's say you want to have a border color onto that. Well, that's easy. So here we have border styles. You can add your border to the top, to the left, to the right, to the bottom, or all the sides. So over here, border width. You can see I'm adding my border width. So now I've instantly added a border. Now, if you're using all these other page builders, you would need to use Photoshop first, add the borders in Photoshop, and then bring the image with the borders into Divi. But now, as you can see, I'm making all these styles to my images without actually using, Photoshop or any of those image manipulation programs. So now, let's say you want to change the color of the borders. Here we go. I can just change it like that. And I have all these colors to play around with. And because I chose that color before, these are the colors that I can, choose that can work well with my design. So all these colors, look at that. That just works really well with my image. Now, one of the time savers as well, using the color management, is coming over here where it says recent. So if you click here on recent, it shows you all your recent used colors. So you don't have to go now and copy the hexadecimal code, paste it each time you want to use it, because we already have it here on your recently used colors. Okay, so now that we've added that, let's say you want to change your text. Now, changing text here is also quite easy. All you have to do is to hover over the area that you need to, or the item that you need to make changes to. Click on the gear icon, and then over here you have your content. That's the first tab, and this is where you change it, okay? So I can just highlight this and just say, how Mac got started. Okay, and you can see here on the top, it is changing. Right, now let me show you something that's really cool. Now that we've added this text, so let's say we want to stylize it. The next step now is to come over here to the design tab. So this is the workflow that you need to have in mind as you're making, changes or designs to your pages. You start with the content, you add your content in first, and then the second tab here is to stylize whatever content you're working on. So when you've clicked the second tab, now to make things easier for you, you come back over here, you highlight where the item you want to make changes to. You see this paintbrush tool? If you click on that, it takes you straight away to where it is you want to make your changes to. So now I can change the heading. Now look at that. That color there, it really works well with what we have here. Okay. And then you can just continue designing that way. So that's one way to design your pages using pre-made layouts. So as you can see here, I've just started using my images, and from a pre-made layout. But we can also design pages from scratch. So let me show you how to do that. Now, before I continue, do you have any questions regarding what I've done so far?
When you're playing with this, can you go back to the original image? So if you're just playing with it, see what it can do.
Where on the top here?
Wherever.
Okay, so let's come to this image here. Okay.
Save it, but just go back to the original image so you can play with something else.
Okay, sure. Okay, so let's go back to this image here. So we added a sepia tone here. So if I click on this gear icon, it's going to take me back to this image here. And all the changes, remember, they're all done on the design tab. So I'm going to come over here to filters. Now, the really cool thing that we can do here to just revert back to how things were is to click on this little gear icon here. Okay, so if I click on that, it takes us back to how things were. I've just reset everything, just using that one click. Did you see that?
Sure.
Yes, fantastic. Now, let's say we need to get rid of these borders here. Again, we just have to find the border, click on that. We can play around with the dial here if we need to. So I'm just going to dial it back all the way to 0, or I can just add 0 right in there. And all my borders are gone. I mean, the rounded corner is gone. And over here, we also have this border right here. We can reset it by clicking on this button here.
Okay, got it.
Now we're back to where we were. So it's really, really cool. So the only thing that you need to just be aware of here is just to click that undo button when you go to that particular thing. Okay? Right. So what we're going to do next now is to build a page from scratch. So I'm just going to click on dashboard, discard and exit. Okay, so let's create a brand new page. So I'm going to come over here to pages and then click on add new. So this time I'm not going to use a pre-made layout. I'm going to start building from scratch. So here I'm going to say new design. Use Div Builder. So here we have the option to build from scratch. And over here, if you take a look here, let's say you've designed a page and you want to reuse the elements of that page. You can actually clone an existing page. So again, that's going to save you a lot of time when you're designing. But for now, let's build from scratch. So there we go. So here, when I started using Divi, this is where it used to be very scary because you get a blank canvas. There's nothing on it. But the trick here is to go to these plus buttons here. This is where you start adding all your elements in. So first of all, you need to decide how many columns you need to have in your page. So here, I'm going to click on this plus button. So I'm going to say I just need one column. Click on that. And in that column, I'm going to have some text. So I'm just going to search for my text module here. And there it is. But you don't have to search for it, by the way. You can just scroll through here until you find it. So I'm just used to working really fast, but you can just, scroll down until you find it. So here it is, text. Now you can decide what you want to add here on this text. Okay. So here, let's say this is my title. Okay. Let's say that's my title. So this is the text that's going to go with this. Now, let's say I want to go in and customize this text. Now, before I do that, I can always highlight here, make this heading 1, just like that. But of course, as you can see, this is really basic. We need to add a bit more style to this. So I can come over here to design. I can put my mouse over here on the title, click on this brush tool. Now that has taken me straight to heading 1. So now I can go in and start making my changes. So I can choose my font. I'm going to go with Poppins. I can make it really bold like that. Now I can add some spacing to that if I need to. So over here, we have letter spacing. Look at that. Okay. And all this stuff that I'm doing, you normally find it in Photoshop. Okay. Now let's say I want to align everything to the center. I can always click here. Now my title has been aligned center. Now the next stage is to work on this font here, I mean, this paragraph that we have on the bottom. Again, if you mouse over here, you click on this brush tool, it takes you to the options for the text. So I can center the text as well. So as we can see here, this is a bit too wide. It's way too much. Okay. So what you can do is to go to sizing. So I'm going to scroll down here, click on sizing. Then I can reduce the width of this text just like that. So let's go with 78%, and then I can center it. Perfect. And then save. Now, let's say I need to add an image behind this text that I've just created. Okay, so I can come over here to my section settings, click on background, and then I can click on this third tab. So let's say you want to add a color. So this is where you can just click on this plus button here, add a specific color if you wanted to, but you can use colors from this color palette. So I can add my color just like that. But in our case, we need to add an image. So I've clicked on this third tab here, click on this plus button, and I can choose an image here from my media library. Okay, so let's go with, let's see which image we can use. Right, so let's go with this image here. Anyway, we've done surfing before. Let's look for something different. Let's go with London. Okay, I'm going to click upload an image. So when you first upload it here, you can see it's not really in place. Everything's all over the place. So what you can do now is you come over here to design, sizing, and then you can set your maximum height. So here on the height, it's set to auto. So you can just drag this until you can start seeing, most of your image, just like that. You can set your maximum height. So let's say your maximum height is 640 pixels. So you can just test this and see, what works with your design. Okay, so back over here now. Let's say I need to add a gradient here because I want part of the website dark and part of the website okay. So if you come back over here to the background, you click here on the second tab, and this is where we can add our gradient. So I can click this plus button, add my first color. So let's say my first color is going to be black. And my second color is going to be transparent. So for transparency, you drag these two sliders all the way down. Okay. And then you want to place your gradient above the image, just like that. So now you can adjust this, and let's say you want it coming from the left, you can just adjust your angle here. So now the left side is slightly dark, and then over here, it's full color. You could do the opposite. So where we have the telephone booth, that's where it's going to be dark, and then over here, it's going to be light. So as you can see now, our text is quite difficult to read, right? So we can actually go back into the text settings and change our text to white. So I'm going to save that. We're going to come back over here into our module settings. Click on design. Again, I'm going to put my mouse over here. Now I'm going to change my color just like that. And then the paragraph text, I can click here, change my color. If I need to align to the right, I can just align everything to the right. Come over here to my title, align it to the right. If I need to adjust my sizing, again, I can come over here, click on sizing, reduce my width like that, align it all the way to the right, and this is how you adjust it. So now we can see it's all the way to the top there. Now it's time to add some spacing. Okay, and again, we can add our margin to the top just by dragging the dial. Can you see how I'm really positioning, this paragraph of text wherever I want? It's very, very precise. And the really cool thing about this as well is while I'm designing, I can actually design for mobile devices as well. So let's say I want this to look a certain way on a mobile device. I can actually design it that way and make it look however I want it to look on a mobile device. So we've got the first part of our website design now. Let's say you want to add another part of your website. Maybe these are the services that your company does. You come over here, you click this plus button. Then we have this option to add a section. So here we can add a regular section, decide how many columns you're going to have. Let's say we're going to have 3. Great. Now let's add a blurb. So again, I'm going to really show you something really cool here. So you start designing the first one here. So let's say I click here on this brush tool. It's going to take me to my image here. I can add my rounded corners if I wanted to. But you know what? Let's start adding all our content here. Okay. So we're going to come over here to image and icon. You can decide whether you want to add an image or an icon. So Divi also has some built-in icons, which is fantastic. So I'm going to click here on use icon instead. So the icon we're going to choose, these are all the icons you can use. And these are free to use, by the way. So let's say I'm going to go with this first icon here. Okay. So our text, you can customize it here under text. So let's say it's a bit too much. You can always come in here, delete some of the text just by doing that. So this is your baseline. Now the next step is to go into the design tab. So this process is the same throughout all the modules that you add in your designs. So the design tab is where you get to make your things look beautiful. Okay, add some color, some sizing, and all that kind of stuff. So here now, let's say you want to work on this icon, change its colors. You can just click on this brush tool, click on the color of the icon, and right there and then I've just changed my color. And let's say you want to change this, adjust the size of that icon. You can just come over here, reduce the size to about, let's say 70. And then for our text here, again, I can click on this brush tool, center it. I can also center the paragraph text. And right now I can see the text is slightly bigger. I can just make it a bit smaller just by doing that. So let's say I'm pretty much happy with that. I can just save it. So let's say I need to, so we have space for 2 more here, right? Now, a really cool thing here that we can do to save us time to design this thing over and over again is just to clone it. So you see this button here, if you click on it twice, now you can drag things into position. I can just drag this over here, drag this one over here, and then I can just go into this one here and change the icon. So let's say this icon here needs to be maybe this lock. Save that, come over here, go to image and icon. And this one here, let's add a microphone. I'm just adding these icons as random and save. So now let's say you want to change these titles, right? So this could be, you just highlight it, and this is title number 2. So this is how easy it is to use Divi for your design. So you can actually go in, click where you want to, type in, and then you just start typing away. Okay, title number 3, just like that. Right. So what about video? Let's say you want to add video onto your page. Again, it's very, very easy. All you have to do is to decide whether you want to have a section or you want to have a row. So let's say I add a single column here. And in that column, we're going to add a video. So I'm going to scroll down all the way down here. And here's the video. I'm going to select that. Okay, so there's our video. This is a demo video. So what you would need to do is to go in and add your own video here from YouTube, Vimeo, or any of those places. Okay, so to do that, you just want to click here on the actual gear icon. Insert from URL, you paste your URL there, and then your video is going to show. Now, the thing that I always tell people is when you add your video from YouTube, it doesn't look nice when it has this default thumbnail. What you want to do is to come over here to design, and then you want to click on overlay. You can change your icon there, but before we do that, let me just show you what you can do quickly here to make this look much better. Right, you see where it says overlay image. If you click on this plus button here, you can actually add an image there that will make your thumbnail look much better. So let me just go with this one here, just for this example. Now, do you see how this video now looks much better with a custom thumbnail? Fantastic. And also, if you mouse over it, it has this transformation that it has here, which is great. Now, one more thing that I'm going to show you is how to add animation, and then we can go into Q&A. You can ask me a lot of questions, or I can continue doing these demos. So here, let's say you want to add an animation here. I can go into this gear icon here, click on design, and then I can scroll all the way down here. Do you see where it says animation? If you click on that, it has all sorts of animations. We can slide, we can bounce. Look at that. Just by clicking on that, it shows you the bounce. We can fold, we can flip, we can zoom in. So all these are the animations that you can do in Divi. All right, so I don't want to go on and on here without your interaction. So I'd like to hear your questions, your thoughts, and let's discuss.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions? Or should I yeah, please.
Could you show us one of your sites or a site that's been used with this software that's really good?
There's quite a lot of them, so I'm just trying to think.
What's any good?
Right, let's see.
That you think's good?
You really put me on the spot there. Meadow Brown Bakery. Okay. Now this is my wife's website. She loves baking, so this is a website that we created using Divi. Okay, there's the video thumbnail there. Description. It's a pretty basic website, but you know, it does the job. There's also a professional website called Ryko. Now, this website right here is a website of a company that produces products for microphones. Now, this website you're seeing right here is designed using Divi. Okay, so all these images. And it is a big company. They work with National Geographic and Joby, Manfrotto, you know. So all this was designed using Divi, all these drop downs. So if you go into these particular products, you can see here. Okay, so it is a massive. I mean, Divi is used for on many websites. In fact, if I go to Elegant Themes here, it actually powers 500,000 websites. I think we have it somewhere here. Where is it? It powers quite a lot of websites. It's the fastest growing page builder out there, and it's been out there for a very long time. So it powers over 500,000 websites. It's very powerful. It's also common with web design agencies. They use this because the licensing of Divi is actually fantastic, because when you buy Divi, and let's say you go for the unlimited package, in fact, let me come over here to the pricing so I can show you. If you choose, let's say, this 249 lifetime access, you can design unlimited websites with this, with just $249, right? So design agencies normally go for this because you can design as many websites for your clients as you can for this, just $249. But if you want to go for the 89 per year, this is 89 every year, and this is also unlimited websites. So just getting this one license, you can design thousands of websites, no problem. So it's in terms of the pricing, again, this is the best pricing compared to our competitors like Elementor and Beaver Builder. This is the best price out there. And we also release quite a lot of tutorials to help people, inspire them to design awesome looking websites too.
Does this include the click to support, or do you pay extra for that?
Oh, support comes with it. It's all inclusive. The support is actually included in the license. So it's brilliant. So let's say, for example, if you take a look here on the bottom right, if I click on there, straight away we can see I can just start typing here, you know, my question or whatever it is, and there are people waiting here. As you can see, there's three of them here from our support team waiting to, you know, to help you, you know, with any questions that you have.
Say you're really stuck and you wanted help on screen. Can
Yep.
they link up? Yeah, easily enough.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an option. Let me see. Now, this website I'm working on is actually on my local computer. It's not online. So let me see if I can get that feature so I can just show you how that works. Right. So if I come over here to Divi theme options, no, actually, sorry. So in your website, you see here where it says Divi, right? If you come all the way to the bottom, do you see where it says Support Center? Right here.
Yeah.
If you click on that, you see where it says Remote Access. If you activate remote access, right, this will automatically be disabled in 4 days, just in case, let's say, you forget to disable it. So this allows our support team now to actually connect to your actual website and, you know, help you with, you know, with anything that needs done. So over here as well, you can activate full admin privileges if you want to. So you can just click on that, and now they will have access to your website and help you with whatever problem it is. And this right here that I'm talking about, there's no page builder out there that has this feature. This is fantastic. And this communication between our support team and your website is encrypted. So the data being passed between between our support team and your website cannot be hacked or, you know, cannot be bypassed in any way. It's all encrypted. And then over here as well, do you see where it says chat with support? You can also click on this, and then this automatically opens up your chat. Now, as I mentioned, now my site here is not online, but if this was online, automatically this will just give me access to my chat support team. And this is also 24/7. Right? So while they're in your website, you can see their mouse moving. And if you want to ask any questions in the chat, you can ask your questions as they're going through your website. So this is, you know, this feature here is fantastic. It's amazing. This will just help you with any of your problems if you do, you know, have any issues with your website.
If you're working on, say, a stock library, are there any templates you can bring in easily to Divi and then work on that to make it?
When you say stock library, what do you mean? Do you mean like images from other websites or
clips?
Sorry?
Yeah, selling images, movie clips, animation, that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's quite easy. Let me show you how to add an image. So let's say.
No, I mean a template for a stock library so that you can then make it look the way you want it to look.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the way you would do it is because Divi has its own way of building the page. So let's say you want to build a page that looks similar to this, right? You would have to build it from scratch. But let's say you want to replicate what you've done here onto another website. We have a feature where you can export your design to another website. Let's say I want to share my page with you, the page that I've designed. I can easily share it, and you can just import it and have that come on your website easily.
So can you import stuff that you've already built on WordPress into Divi, and then you can work on that?
Whatever you're going to import needs to be designed in Divi first, because it has to be the same platform. So the analogy would be, let's say there's a part on a BMW and you'd like to use that part on a Mercedes. That wouldn't really work. It has to be like for like. So whatever you design in, let's say Divi, that you can import, you can export it anytime. Let's say I designed a page and I want to share it with you. I can just export it and share it with you without any problems.
All right.
Yes, but it has to be designed with Divi first in order for that to work. Otherwise, we're going to have compatibility issues.
Okay. So there's no templates you can import to Divi to give you a fast start.
Yeah, there are a ton. I mean, when we have our templates that we give away for free. When I started designing, I'm not sure if you recall, I started off with a pre-made layout. So those are the templates that we use. In fact, let me show you quickly here. So we have our own that we give away for free. So we have them all in a library. Let me just show you. So let's say you're designing a page from scratch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here is where you have these three options. Do you see where it says choose a pre-made layout? These are the actual themes that you can import. Okay. I guess the wording here is a bit different. So that's why you probably didn't pick it up from the beginning. So when you come, sorry.
As the free ones, you can buy them in as you can normally.
Oh, yeah. There's a ton of places where you can buy other. In fact, let me show you a company that sells some of these layouts. There's one called, in fact, let me search for it, Divi themes. There's quite a few companies that sell them. Divi Cake is one of them. So if I come over here, so you see they have some of these. Some of them are quite pricey. For example, let's say this one, that's called Ali. If you click on it, you can do a live demo. Then it shows you what it looks like. You see? So let's say this is the one that you like. Okay. You can just buy this one here with all this animation. And then once you've bought it, you import it onto your own website and then just change this text. But it has all the animations for you all ready to be used. Let's see here.
The other stuff that you want to change.
Sorry?
And you can change anything you want, really.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can change the colors. You can change the images. Yes, you can do all that.
I think I'll be using this. Sorry.
I just want to know what happens in a situation where I'm asked to take over a website that someone else has made in Divi, and I don't have the an account with Divi.
Okay. So are you talking from a point of view of a designer, freelance designer, or?
I know you can log in the back end, but sometimes if the theme or the system needs updating.
Okay. So if you have a license yourself, remember, sorry?
I don't, that's the point.
Oh, so you don't have a license.
So I'm asked by, if I design a website, I generally don't use Divi, therefore I don't have a license. But occasionally I'm asked by somebody who doesn't get on with their original designer who built their website in Divi, and I'm asked to sort of take it over and update it.
Ah, I see what you mean. So the original designer would have used their license to work on that website. So when you take over now, they disable their license. So what you need to do in that case is to have your own license. Either the person that's asking you to update the website, they need to buy the license, or if you have a license, you can use your license key on their website because you can design unlimited websites. So that's what you would need to do in that case.
So you can't use their license temporarily to update. I mean, they bought it for what? The whole package. So they could just give you the password, couldn't they?
Yeah, they could. They could if they could, but sometimes designers, if they realize that, okay, someone else is going to be designing this website, they will just disable their license key and just say, okay, here's your website, and disable the license key. So that's where now you would need to purchase your own license key, or the client needs to purchase the license, and then you'll be able to go ahead and update.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is Divi ISO certified when it comes to the remote support?
Sorry?
Is it certified by any like ISO themselves?
No. The ISO certifications do not really apply to plugins or software. Mostly the ISO certifications are mainly for companies. So if a company is ISO certified, that's where it would that's where it would apply. But in America, I'm not sure if they do have those standards. I know in the UK here we have ISO standards, but in America, I'm not sure if they do because I haven't seen that, to be honest. So my guess would be they don't have those standards in America, but they're not put on the actual theme builder level. No.
So you're thinking more from a security point of view?
Sorry?
Security certification, is that what you meant?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you do any sorts of security certification on Divi?
What we do is, in fact, with all these page builders, there's no security certification. However, every time we have an update, and this is why it's important to have a license, the updates that are pushed out are security patches. Just like, let's say, software like Windows, let's say Windows 10. So the company would push out any security updates of anything that potentially could cause harm to your website. So that's what Divi does, and that's what the license covers. So for my 10 years I've used Divi, I've never heard of a situation where the websites were hacked because they were running Divi, because they are always on top of the security patches every single time. Yeah. But of course, you would need to make sure that your website is updated regularly. So every time there's an update, you need to make sure it's updated, because if you don't, then what has happened now is you leave the door open for any attacks.
Yeah. And it works with WooCommerce and stuff like that, does it?
Are you asking if it works well with WooCommerce?
Yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, it works well with WooCommerce. It works well with quite a lot of plugins. In fact, I've had websites where I have my own website where I teach. I have courses where I teach people how to design websites. That website runs Divi, so I can actually turn my Divi website into an e-learning platform. I can turn my Divi website into an e-commerce website. I can turn Divi into a membership website. So there's all sorts of spin-offs that you can do off of the base of Divi. Right, I'm trying to switch over here so I can show my main screen. Can't remember how I did it.
Mac, I've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure.
So could you've explained a little bit about how you compare to other page builders like Elementor, but would you sort of go into a little bit more detail about how you compare to Elementor and WP Bakery and Beaver Builder, why we've picked Divi over those? And the second question I've got is about where you see this all going with Gutenberg.
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
That's a very, very good question. If you can just bear with me, what I'm trying to do here is on Google Hangouts, I'm trying to switch back to my main screen so you can see my this is strange. Are you seeing my full face, or you're seeing my screen share?
Still your screen.
Still your screen, yeah.
Oh, here we go.
There's a button. There's a blue button down the bottom to stop sharing.
Yeah.
You just click on that.
Okay, I'm looking for that button.
It was there and it's gone.
Yeah.
This is strange. That button is gone now. I can't see it.
Click on that green button there.
No, that's me. It's me.
That's you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was wondering if I could do it.
There we go. We can see the screen still, mate. There we go. Difficult to know what he can see.
Yeah.
You know those icons I had on the left? I don't have them anymore.
Hey.
That's
Andrew messing around.
That's me messing around. Yeah.
What, am I back?
No.
We were back. smaller like Google.
Oh, this is strange.
Let's make with a K.
Yeah. You should get a thing that says stop sharing. It was there, wasn't it?
Oh, hang on. I think I got it.
Yeah, you're sharing your screen.
Yeah, you know what? I had so many tabs.
We got you.
You got me, yeah?
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, fantastic. At least now I can see you. Okay. I'll if you can repeat the question again. I got the Gutenberg part where you said where do I see this going with Gutenberg? What was the other question?
So it's just about how Divi compares with other. You've touched on a bit about how
Right.
Divi
Okay.
compares with Elementor and others, but yeah, I mean obviously with freelance designers here, why would they pick Divi? Other than personal preference, obviously.
Okay, that's a very good question, and that is actually a very, very popular question. Now, these page builders, they are quite similar in terms of how to build pages, but what makes them different, or what makes Divi different, is the UI is much superior. You know, you have all your elements that you need to make those little tweaks as you're designing your page. It looks much, much better. And I've used Beaver Builder, I've used Elementor as well. And I know it can come across as a bit biased, but I will also say that Elementor does have features that Divi doesn't have yet. Like, for example, you can build some themes using Elementor. In Divi, we're still going to release that feature very, very soon. So that's something that Elementor has that Divi doesn't have. But as an overall picture, right, I touched on the licensing. With 249, you have unlimited websites forever, right? You can design unlimited websites. You get all the updates forever. So that licensing right there, no one has that out there throughout all the page builders, right? They all have a recurring yearly subscription. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, when it comes to support, the remote access support, that's unique to Divi. No one else out there does it. And what you'll find is when you design websites using these page builders, you will get into some hurdles where you'd need some help. And the quicker help you get, the better. And Divi does, I mean, our support team is, way much better than all these other page builders. And I would say the third thing is the community. I mean, we have a massive community, and we also have a lot of third-party themes that work with Divi that you can use to turn your website into pretty much, anything else. Other than those main things that I've mentioned, pretty much the page builders it's more like a preference, but they'll pretty much get the job done because you're just adding images, videos, and text onto your page. But it's the support, it's the license itself, and it's also the UI, how to find a way around as you're designing. The Elementor UI, it looks quite dated. I mean, that's how I see it. The Divi one looks very vibrant, and it looks much, much easier, much easier to use.
Okay.
The other question was, what is the future? Or how do I see the future of page builders with Gutenberg Gutenberg out there? Now, to be honest with you, Gutenberg, when it came out, I was actually quite scared myself because it's pretty much similar to how page builders work. So the question now is Gutenberg going to surpass page builders? And the answer to that is, I don't think so, because Gutenberg has just been released, right? It's not even a year old. And these page builders have 10 years of experience, and they continue innovating. They keep adding features. So the pace that Gutenberg or WordPress is going to be developing Gutenberg compared to the pace that Elementor, Beaver Builder, or even Divi is developing, it's unmatched. So I don't see this gap reducing anytime soon. And besides, as a designer, if you're used to one sort of platform, there's nothing in Gutenberg that you can't find in Divi. In fact, you have way more features with all these page builders. In fact, all these page builders are way much better than Gutenberg by far, definitely. So I don't see Gutenberg catching up anytime soon, not at all.
Okay.
And was there a third one?
No.
Okay.
Right, I can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah,
Just
please,
press.
And I use Divi a lot, and I think it's really good. I have also looked at Elementor recently, and the one thing that Elementor seems to be able to do differently is you can manipulate your footer in the way that you can manipulate the page layout. And with Divi, it still takes quite a bit of custom coding. And I just wondered if I've got that right, or whether it's going to be developed or what.
Right. I'm glad you've brought that up. Now, that feature, you know, every time we release a new feature, like last week, we just had a feature update. The main requested feature is we need the feature where we can adjust our header and footer. So we've been promising it for quite a while, but we've had some challenges in terms of compatibility issues and things breaking while we're building it. But it's a feature that we're going to release. But the one thing that we do now with Divi is before we release these features, because I'm not sure if you've used Divi from the front end or the backend builder. The backend builder is a totally sort of like different way of building pages, where the front end builder is a totally different way of building pages. So what is happening is it seems like we have two separate page builders all in one. So we're trying to develop for both of them. So we want to make sure that our clients that have used the old way of building the sites have that feature, and the new way of building that site have that feature. So sometimes having these two to work together can be a challenge, and this is why it hasn't been released, in a timely manner. But this is one of the most requested features, and I can assure you that that feature will be coming very, very soon. Header and footer customizations will be coming very, very soon. And yes, you are absolutely right. In Elementor, it's very easy because they have that feature already and it works fine. But we are going to have that feature. It's on the list of things that we're going to be adding very, very soon.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And is there a hosted option? Is it like a web? It's not on WordPress.com, is it?
Sorry?
Divi's not on WordPress.com, is it?
The main Divi website itself is not, but the blog is. This is because when the website was built, it was built a long time ago. And because of how it's structured, in fact, I can't give you the full answer to that, but I don't know why they've stuck to building it in hand code rather than having built Divi on top of it. I guess maybe it's because of the complexity of the files that they used right in the beginning when they built the website before Divi was fully developed. I'm not 100% sure, but yes, you're absolutely right.
What I meant that there's no hosted option. You can't go onto a website and say, "I'll build a Divi website," and it's all hosted and taken care of for you. But you have to invest. You have to buy the plugin, download it, install it. It's not.
I see what you mean. You mean like, let's say you go to GoDaddy and they already have it on there. Yeah? No. This is something that we don't have out of the box, but it's always good to, in my opinion, to have the option to choose your own hosting yourself, because the hosting itself is very, very important. Like for example, I use Get Flywheel because of the user interface. So I'd rather choose my own hosting company, because you can imagine for what you're saying to work, Divi has to be in partnership with all these hosting companies. So what you choose may be different to what I prefer. So it's quite difficult to have it into these hosting companies. But companies like GoDaddy would try and have it like inbuilt. But there isn't really a massive advantage of doing that, to be honest.
Okay.
But they already have it built. I just happen to have a site on GoDaddy, which I'm going to work on. Maybe I'll use Divi. It's already there.
We had to pay
You have to
$250.
pay, yes.
I do have a question.
It's no
That's
for a
yeah,
year.
yeah,
You've
yeah.
got one
And then you
folder.
just might get a deal for a lifetime.
Yeah, I've just got a question, which is
That's good.
the thing with Elementor, they just launched a free theme, and the basics of Elementor is free as well. Just wondered whether Divi was going to do anything to compete with that.
Okay.
The theme, what was it last week? That's in the WordPress repository now, and obviously the basic Elementor builder is free as well.
Oh yes, absolutely. Now this is a difference of a business business structure. So what Elementor does is they give you the free theme, which is limited in features, hoping that you upgrade to their paid version, right? So when you look at their numbers, it looks like they're doing very, very well. Now that is because a lot of people have installed the free theme. So with Divi now, the business structure is totally different. It's a paid theme right from the get-go, but where the value comes in is one in the pricing and the support. So if you go into the Divi Builder itself, as you're building websites, each and every item has a tutorial that shows you and tells you exactly what it does. So I guess all that work that has gone into that is why they justify not having the free version, because I guess
just if you was going to do a cut down version to compete with that and get more people buying into Divi rather than having to pay $250.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, I don't think that's in the pipeline to have a free version that can lead up to you buying the paid version. I haven't come across that yet, but it's something that I've always thought that maybe it could be in fact an advantage to having that, just to give people like a taster of how Divi is before they actually commit into buying it. But I haven't heard any talks of that happening yet.
Right. I must have bought the annual version. Is there a discount if you go up to the live version?
The live version, once you've bought it, I mean, that's it. You've got lifetime updates. The question, it's for life.
Thinking I'd use it and I didn't. Is there a discount for people like me?
Can you say it again? I didn't get you. Sorry.
So
right.
Purchase the yearly version and now wants to move on to a live version. Is there a discount?
Yeah. I think there's a discount for that. Yes.
I bought the year version.
Yes.
And I'm going to buy into the lifetime version. And I've been offered a very discounted price on that, which makes it worth my while.
Just through support.
All support.
No, you contacted support to get the discount.
It just popped up
when
I was in my login area.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So
yeah. So you may be lucky as well if you like it. I didn't want to spend the big money before knowing if I'm active or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dom?
Yes. I would also like to add to that, sometimes it may seem like the $250 is a lot of money. And yes, it can be. But if you have that passion in design and you want to make, like, let's say, a business out of it, to recoup that $250, all you'd need to do is to design one website. And that's it. You've got Divi for life. Just convince one person to design their website and you're done. That's how I look at it.
I'm pretty well convinced. So, any more questions? Bit of help. I'll be on your side.
Everyone happy that they answered?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're happy? Mac, thank you so much. Well, that was really interesting and just spot on, and you gave us a really good earring review. I think you've converted a few people here, so brilliant. Thanks very much, mate.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much. I mean, anytime if you need me to come and do a few more demos, because I know what I may have done today could be quite fast paced, and it was pretty much quite a lot of things I covered. But if you want any structured tutorials where I can come in, design a mini website for you, I'm very happy to do that. We just need to plan a way ahead of time, and I'm very happy to help you guys.
Do you mind if I circulate your contact details on that? Is that okay?
Where can we see your tutorials?
Yeah, that's actually a good point, actually.
That was quite a lot of questions. Sorry, I
Yeah, tutorials.
tutorials. Okay.
Tutorials.
The tutorials are on elegantthemes.com. In fact, can I type it here? Will you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just get the YouTube channel here.
Oh, the YouTube channel, Elegant Themes YouTube channel.
Yes, Elegant Themes YouTube channel. And I also do quite a lot of tutorials on my own channel as well.
Would you mind popping those in an email, Matt? And I'll put them on the discussion board of Meetup.
Okay, I was going to post them here.
Okay, great.
See. Okay, so that one there is mine. So let me get the Elegant Themes one as well.
Okay.
Okay, have you got the other one?
Yep, got them both.
Fantastic. So those are the tutorials. We create these tutorials on a regular basis. We even have live shows. So you may be interested in tuning in into one of those. It's every Monday and every Friday. And I also do lengthy ones as well, where we work on, specific design projects using Divi.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much, Matt.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Thank you.